Hello, everyone. I'm Pastor Jeff, and this is Thoughts of Grace. I want to talk to you about the immeasurable in life. Whenever I get something that requires assembly, I have to put it together. I like to play a game, and maybe you've played it too. It's called Let's Attempt to Put This Together Until We Get Stuck, and then finally look at the directions so that we can put it together right. And it's silly when you think about it. If I just look at the directions to start off with, it would go so much smoother. But it's a game that I nevertheless play time and time again. I guess I do it because I want to figure it out. I'm curious if I could do it. Somehow it would mean more to me if I could do it myself. And what I end up doing is I end up driving myself crazy for no reason, just to say that I put it together myself. I could save so much time and energy, and if I just did it the right way. There are people who have already figured it out for me. They've already done all the proper measuring. All I have to do is to play my part and follow the directions. Human beings can be very skilled at figuring things out, complex things. You look at the pyramids and the ancient aqueducts. They are precisely built. You had to measure just right and place those stones together in a very specific way in order to build something like that and for it to remain after all of these years. And that is something that is unique to us. We as human beings have been made in the image of God, and we are able to reason and build things that last and that are beautiful. But alas, nothing lasts forever on this earth. And in the context of eternity, we have to submit to the better plans and measures of someone who has figured out our path to eternity. And the directions are there. The measurements have already been made. We just have to do our part and trust in the one who has done all of the necessary work for us. The book of Zechariah has an interesting passage where Zechariah sees a man taking measurements. Let's take a look. It's found in chapter 2. I looked up and saw a man with a measuring line in his hand. I asked, "Where are you going?" He answered, "To measure Jerusalem to determine its width and length." Then the angel who was speaking with me went out, and another angel went out to meet him. He said to him, "Run and tell this young man, Jerusalem will be inhabited without walls because of the number of people and animals in it. The declaration of the Lord, I myself will be a wall of fire around it, and I will be the glory within it." The context of this passage is that Jerusalem has been destroyed and was in shambles at that time. This would have been a sore subject for any Israelite at the time. Their prized city was in shambles. It also would have been a moment of great joy and excitement to see someone planning to restore their great city. The verses speak of angels and even calls the one surveying an angel. It is entirely reasonable, given the context, that one of these angels is the angel of the Lord that is referred to in the first chapter. The second chapter says that Zechariah looked up. This gives the impression that it is separate from what has taken place in the first chapter, but it is also in connection to what is already seen. Many have surmised that given the characteristics of the angel of the Lord that describe the angel of the Lord whenever he's mentioned in the Old Testament, and the things that has been said about him and the things that the angel of the Lord has said himself, for instance, forgiving of sins, that this was a time where Jesus took the form of man for a short period of time. Jesus told his disciples that he was going to prepare a place for his disciples. This passage in Zechariah seems to be talking about the time where Jesus establishes his reign on this earth. Some refer to this as the millennial reign. It has not yet happened yet, and it is found in the book of Revelation in chapter 20. The new Jerusalem and the new earth that come down from heaven that happens after chapter 20, that doesn't seem to fit this description because that city has walls. We know that Jerusalem is built in the millennial reign because at the end of it, Satan gathers up an army to attack God's people, the city that he loves. That's Jerusalem. So what does this passage mean in Zechariah? What does it mean about Jerusalem and laying down the measurements of Jerusalem? What does that mean? It means don't measure what you can't reach. God is found in this passage preparing Jerusalem. He didn't leave it up to humanity. He has given humanity lots of roles to play in his divine plan. But when it comes to the very end game, when it comes to us being reunited with him, he is the one that is found measuring Jerusalem. And he has given us directions to arrive there safely. All we have to do is to play our part, which is in trusting in those directions, and especially trusting in the one who gave those directions. We still like to figure stuff out though, don't we? It's like me ignoring the directions in my earlier part of the story. We could save ourselves a lot of heartache if we just played our part, if we just stopped trying to measure something that is out of our reach. If we could do it, Jesus' death and resurrection was a foolish waste of time. If we could figure out our sins, and if we could figure out all of the problems of humanity, we wouldn't have needed Jesus. But we still have the same problems that have plagued humanity all throughout its history. Why? Because we keep trying to figure it out on our own instead of trusting in the one who has given us perfect directions to arrive at our destination safely. To give you an idea of how big God is and how small we are and how foolish we can be in trying to figure out God and his plans, I'm going to tell you a story about one of humanity's biggest achievements. In 1977, we launched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 into space. Their jobs was to fly by certain planets and moons and other objects to gather information. It has been 43 years and they are still going. They're still moving through space. In fact, they have gone so far now that scientists here on this Earth have had to tweak our reception a bunch of times just to receive the readings that those machines are still transmitting. That is quite the achievement on our part. To build something 43 years ago, to have it move and take measurements for 43 years, and for it to still work. That's amazing. 43 years. It took Voyager 1 35 years to leave our solar system. And it is still not in another solar system yet. It is in what is called interstellar space. Voyager 2 didn't leave our solar system until 2 years ago. Think about this for a moment. Scientists estimate that there are about 1 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. And there are a possibility of 1 billion or more galaxies. Through the greatest achievement of humanity, we have sent 2 machines hurtling through our solar system for 43 years, and we still haven't cracked the next solar system of 1 billion solar systems that comprise just one of 1 billion galaxies. This is simply an example of not being able to measure God's creation because it is out of our reach. How much more is that true in trying to measure God and his plans? God has been measuring and preparing for the day of complete reconciliation between him and his creation since the beginning of time. We just have to play our part in trusting him and being obedient to the things he gives us the honor to play a role in. Anything outside of that is above our pay grade. Let God be God and let us follow his directions. The second thing is that we shouldn't underestimate his plans. It's embarrassing how many times I have looked at God and asked, "What the heck are you doing up there, pal? Are you sure you don't need my help? Because this whole thing that is ridiculously named life is a joke." And then God shows up as if I needed another example of God's intentions towards me and his ability to deliver on those intentions. But he shows up nevertheless. And that brings me to the story of Elisha and his servant. The king of Aram was at war with Israel. But Elisha kept warning the king of Israel about this and kept on warning about the plans of the king of Aram. This became so much of a problem that the king of Aram sent his army to capture Elisha. The servant of Elisha saw the army and was terrified, but Elisha told his servant not to worry, because even though they themselves didn't have the resources to fight off this attack, that the God of Israel has never left them, and his plan and intentions for them can be trusted. He then prayed that the servant could see what he was talking about. And suddenly the servant could see the angel armies that were there to protect him. This passage in Zechariah says that Jerusalem will not have any walls because there will be so much people and animals in it. It is also said that he himself would be the wall around it. He would be the sole protection for us. It was also said that he would be the glory of that city. It wouldn't be humanity's pyramids or their technology or their transportation or their feats of art or anything of the kind. The glory will be found in God and God alone. He has been faithful to his word all throughout this time, and he will fulfill that once again. Today, you have the opportunity to put your trust in Jesus Christ. There are things outside of your grasp that you are wrestling with right now. Allow him to do the work that you cannot do so that you can accomplish his plan for your life and that you can arrive at that destination safely. If you have a hard time trusting in God's intentions towards you, would you please look at Scripture? So much of this lesson, I have looked at multiple books of the Bible, and it all points and connects flawlessly to the idea that Jesus will put all of this to an end so that he can rule and reign for all of eternity, and that we can join him in that rule and reign. He has made the plans. He has done the measuring. We just have to trust him and the directions that he gave us, so that we can arrive there safely. I hope to see you this Sunday. Click on the link to guarantee your seat. And as always, we are on Facebook Live at 11 a.m. and we post a recording of our service on our YouTube channel and our website later on that day. Hope to see you. God bless.